What is up, Retro Maniacs? Welcome to the Retro Card Chat Podcast. My name is Mike, and I am from Mike's Retro Trading Cards, and I am happy to say that both of my co-hosts are here this week. Both survived another week. Of course, we have Joe Day, who survived his little minor surgery, but we have EP, who survived another week at work. How you feeling?
I'm feeling a little rough.
Ooh, you look a little rough.
Got 3 hours sleep.
I was worried about you.
This week was rough. It was a little bit rough. So,
oh, Joe, how you doing up there?
Well, last week I cracked open a beer because Pitt lost, and I was going to have surgery this week. I'm cracking open a beer because Pitt won, and I survived surgery. So, I mean, long story short, I'm cracking open a beer no matter what. But here we go. Let's get into it.
So, all joking aside, of course, Joe, you had surgery this week.
Did.
Are you able to get around? Are you on the mend? Are you going to be able to keep going? You're going to make it through the pod? How are we doing?
Well, luckily, Rob has been good at being my I was going to say my drink, but he's been getting all my stuff for me. I haven't been able to walk, so it's been terrible. No weight on the foot. I have to use a little scooter to go to the bathroom. It's been inconvenient to say the least.
Wow.
So
how you have not uploaded a video of you getting around on a scooter for our viewers is beyond me.
Bailey does not like the scooter because I make this wee noise as I'm flying through the house. She really doesn't like that at all.
Wow.
So are you on the IR? Like, you're going to be out at least 4 weeks, right? Like, or
I'm no 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So I'm good.
Okay.
I can be back by week 7. I'll be good. I'll be set.
Good to see. All right, let's get into it. We have everybody likes to call the grading wars of 2022 going on. Of course, PSA announced this week they were dropping their bulk rate to $18 per card, and they're running a trading card special for $15 a card. We spoke last week about how CSG already dropped their price 20% for the month of October, so their bulk rate is down to 12. And SGC, we've been talking about for a while now, needing to drop their prices. They also came in and dropped their prices. They're down to $24 a card for 1 to 9, I think 22 for up to 20, and they get as low as $18 if you're sending in 50 or more. Is this the beginning of the resurgence of card grading?
I hope it's the beginning of the return to reasonable prices. I mean,
yeah,
I think where people send in, but I think the prices need to come down even more for it to really get back to where it was during the pandemic, at the start of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at SGCs too, 5 to 10 business day turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
That's still really good. $24.
Yeah, a little better than 120 for PSA.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. So, and that brings up the question, does it make sense to, if you're someone who's trying to make money off of cards, does it make sense to send your cards to SGC, get them back super quick, and then, you can sell those cards quicker and then flip them, go through the process again. You could go through that process about 3 or 4 times by the time your PSA order gets back to you. So yes, the value is obviously still with PSA. None of us would ever disagree with that sentiment, but I think there is a opportunity to be had with the quick turnarounds of SGC and them lowering their prices, $6 a card at the minimum, up to lowering them down $12 a card from 30 to 18 at the maximum. So I could see Alico 3, he'll be sending in quite a few 50 plus card orders at now, $18 a card.
Now, PSA's got the $199 limit
value too. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Right, I was going to say, yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Does SGC have that as well? Does SGC have a $199 limit?
No,
value?
They're higher. Yeah.
So it makes even more sense to probably send there, right?
It's about $1,500 value, I believe. Something, or no, I'm sorry. Raw card grading, reviews, and crossover declared value is $1,500. So I don't think they have anything for the regular.
Thought they did have I thought they added like a couple higher levels for declared value. So we should really have this information. But I figured our SGC expert up here, Joe, would have all the details. So I'm just gonna blame it on you.
I'm Mr. PSA now. You guys were calling me the last 2 weeks. So
That's true.
Get off my back. Get all the way off my back.
You are definitely Mr. PSA again. Yeah. I mean, it's getting there though, Joe. Like we've talked about this. We've both been right about this. I mean, a lot of people have been right about this. The prices are going to get cheaper. I don't think they're done yet. So, I guess it really depends on how badly you want to get done what you have to get graded. So, I have a number of things I'm considering, but I feel like I might wait a little while longer. Nothing that I have to get graded that I want to get done right away, that I want to flip right away. So I feel like I'm going to wait because I still think it goes a little lower. I think they'll run some more specials too for sports cards. The $15 price point on the trading card games is really nice. So I think they'll do something similar, don't you guys, for regular sports cards?
If I'm PCing things, I'm waiting for sure. I mean, if it's stuff for my personal collection, I'm gonna keep waiting. Stuff that investment stuff where you just you can't because it's you need to turn that stuff around. I can understand wanting to get it in. But yeah, I'm with you, Mike. I'm definitely waiting, and I do think they will have some additional specials. We talked about this before. The trading card game. I wonder if they'll do something similar with non-sports cards in general, like the Marvel cards with CGC, kind of ascending in that space. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. But yeah, I'm with you, Mike. I'm going to wait because the only cards I have to send right now are PC things. So I'm going to see if there's some deals to be had or some bulk. Some cheaper bulk things. Maybe the three of us or a group of us can put some together to save some money on something like that too.
EP, I know you've been thinking about sending in some cards. Are you starting to get to the point where you feel like you might do it? Are you leaning to one company or the other? Where are you at right now?
Again, the PSA 18, moving down to 18 from 22 again, like that is, I think I said it that the other couple weeks ago that 22 just felt so much closer to 30 than 18 did.
Yeah,
it's
really
only
does.
$4. But again, like I had these cards that are kind of in that wheelhouse that are Kobe Bryant PSA or rookie cards that won't 10, but they're probably 9, 8ish. And at that point, it increases the value if the prices are right. So I am thinking about it again. Having come up with like 25 cards though is probably, I don't know if I have 25 cards that will fit into that little like that bucket or whatever. So I'm not sure about that. But
that's not an insignificant amount of money too. 25 cards at $18 a card is not nothing.
Right. Especially if I'm going to have to like stretch like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of them that I don't think can get even an 8 or a 9. Like all of a sudden things get really, really expensive. But yeah, my PC stuff, I do have some PC stuff that I definitely want to send in. I'm like you guys, I'm holding in there. And I agree also that the deals are coming. Like that's, as a good company, you're going to lower the price and see how that changes the volume and the different kinds of customers. And same thing with giving a deal. So I think trading sports card deals are definitely in the works. They're going to just see what it does to volume and customer base and stuff.
I'm curious. I'm curious on the actual turnaround times. It sounds like it's shorter than 120 days. That's what they're declaring. But from everything I've seen, people on Twitter getting orders back, it seems like it's a bit less than 120 days, which is smart. Under promise, over deliver, and then that way people aren't like me getting super pissed off after about 15 months or so.
Yeah, I know. I've seen people that sent in for the national special that still haven't gotten their cards back. So we're July, August, summer. Like we're 3 months into that now. So they're probably running pretty close to, wasn't the 120? It's supposed to be 120 calendar days, I believe. They're not business days on that. So they're not. They're certainly not way ahead, but it'll be interesting to see if everybody that put in the cards in July get them back in the right amount of time, because that's really, I believe I've said it all along, I think that was a test for them to see how they can handle the increased quantity they need to grade. And I don't know. Like I've been sitting around though wondering how many people I know people that open newer stuff, ultra modern stuff. A lot of people probably have stuff to grade, but like with the base cards declining in value for even PSA 10s, I just wonder what kind of demand they really have with that 199 declared value. Because yeah, again, that's a really tricky range to try to have a card that it makes sense. Like I feel like you kind of have to go back, like have something older. You have to have something maybe from the 80s or 90s that if you can pop a 9 or a 10, like even a 9 is going to give you a nice little increase in value. Like you're not, when you're sending in ultra modern stuff, 9 will sometimes lose you value now and stuff. And especially if you're talking, under a $200 card, you're talking base cards, like you get a 9 base rookie card. Nobody wants that. They're not going to pay you $100 for it. So why put $18 plus your shipping into that? It'll really be interesting to see what their grading numbers are now that the backlog's done and see where they settle in at, because I'm a little curious. I'm not totally sold that they're gonna have the volume that people think.
I think you end up with a lot of baseball prospectors who are people sending in Bowman Chrome autos of players who kind of are on the cusp of making it to the bigs or something like that. And then, that's going to stay under that level. And then, but when they get called up or there's talk about them or they have a big game in the minors next year or something like that, or even in the fall league, I think that they, could get a little bit of a pop there and sell, flip the card then.
Yeah, definitely.
Or in your case, EP specifically, I mean, you mentioned your Brady press pass rookies, right? You have a couple of those. I mean, that's one of those cards that in an 8, it's about 175 ish, in a 9, it's a little bit more, in a 10, it's a little bit more. So sending those makes sense, at $18 a card. But, you're right, Mike. I mean, how much base are people going to send? How many, Trevor Lawrence base rookies are going to actually get sent in, like Burrow. I remember Burrow and Herbert. I mean, how many of those probably got graded, throughout the couple of years? It's crazy. So, I mean, you're not going to see that with this last crop of rookies, speaking specifically about football, or, this coming crop of rookies, even though I would grade every Kenny Pickett card possible. He's going to beat the Bills today. This is going to look really bad when you drop this on Monday and they lose by about 25 points. But I just don't know that 199 is just so tricky to try and find something that makes sense, because after eBay fees, after PSA fees, after shipping it there and then paying to ship it back, I mean, and then versus the value you could just have gotten from the raw card. EP, you could sell that Brady press pass even for, $125 raw. Does it make sense to have it graded at that point? I mean, I don't know. That's a tough call.
That's a good point too, Joe, because, I've been going through all my stuff for a long time now. I have a small shoebox that I loaded up back early last year with the cards that I thought maybe I'll send a PSA to get graded. They didn't make the first cut. They're ones I found after I sent my first order in and PSA shut down, and I've just kind of kept them in there. But I've been looking through that lately, and now I'm kind of looking at it. I'm like, between the prices dropping on a lot of stuff. I mean, it just has, like, it's nowhere near where the market was in like mid 2021. But looking at the cards now, I'm like, does it make sense? I feel like I could just sell this raw and get rid of it, not take the chance. I feel personally like I really need to see a beautiful card to consider sending it in. Like before, where I was looking at something that go, okay, if I get a 9, I'm fine. I'm really looking at stuff now that I feel like might have a chance at a 10.
See, the thing is, like you guys have both sent in large orders. I've only sent in 3 cards total, so I kind of like want to send cards in just to see.
Oh yeah.
If I, just to see if I know how to. I mean, obviously PSA. A lot of people say you can't really figure out their grades right now, but I'd still like to send in a few more cards just to kind of like. That's where I'm at, especially with the Kobe's and the Brady's. Like I want to send them in just to see whether I'm good at figuring out the grades or not. So that's kind of where I am.
Well, speaking of just sending a card into PSA
God,
and
what a
seeing what
segue.
kind of grade.
God, that
Thank you.
killer
That was a good
segue,
one,
man.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Ah.
I will throw the card up here somewhere. This week I saw a select 2022 WWE Select Hulk Hogan 1-of-1 card that was graded a PSA 10. I mean, not an unusual thing to happen until you see what the centering looks like on the card. I know they give up to 60-40, but this card is definitely more than 60-40 off center right to left. I mean, I was shocked by it, but it really brought up, like, the question that came into my mind is, we're grading all these ultra modern cards, and really, come on, they're all very well made. They're all in good condition. Most of them are chromium cards. They're not paper cards. They don't have the corner wear. They don't have the edge wear. You have a little bit of surface issues on stuff, but like, if we're going to assign like the values we're assigning to modern cards for a 10, shouldn't a 10 have to be held to a higher standard? Like this card is not a 10, and it made me wonder, what would you do like if you were interested in buying that card? Now the seller has it and it's a PSA 10. I'm not saying that card in particular, but just using that as a general example. If a seller has a card that is centered like this PSA 10 and they want a premium, the PSA 10 premium out of it, like, as a buyer, doesn't that make you go, no? Like, where do you, the line has to be drawn somewhere, right? We always talk about buying the card, not the grade. But at some point, you have to see a card like that and go, no, I'm not paying that, right?
Well, the three of us definitely wouldn't. I mean, not specifically that card, we wouldn't buy that card anyway for the price. But I'm just saying, in general, I think the three of us would look at the card and say, that's not a 10. I'm not going to buy a card at a ridiculous premium when that card doesn't look better than, in my opinion, it should have been probably an 8 with that centering. I mean, maybe a 9 if everything else was absolutely perfect. But boy, oh boy, that centering just, to me, and centering is one of those things when I buy a card, that is my main priority, because I display cards a lot of the time. And if that centering is that far off, it really, I can't unsee it. We talked about this with the mantle, when we were at the National, you just can't kind of unsee that off-centered or cockeyed look. So, and I brought this up on a pod a few weeks ago. I bought this was months ago at this point. I bought a SGC 8 Brady Pros and Prospects. There was an 8.5 that was a little bit more expensive, but it didn't look as good, in my opinion. I looked as best as you can from pictures online, obviously, but the 8, in my opinion, looked like a good 8. The 8.5 looked like an 8. So I bought the 8. I think, unfortunately, we're not the target audience for this specific card. I think someone will pay a premium because of that 10 in the corner of the label.
I'm 100% with you, Joe. Like, centering is the most important thing to me. Like, well, for any grading stuff, and even PSA says eye appeal is the most important thing. And I just don't know how they can give that card a 10. And I've seen a lot of people show a lot of cards that are 8s and 9s that are centered better, and people look on and say, I don't understand, how can this only be an 8 or a 9? I thought this was a 10. Elite Co, a lot of people, and like, I don't know how you can give that one a 10 and then have other people like get these other cards and feel good about yourself giving that one a 10, right, compared to these other cards. Like, it just that blows my mind. Like, and
I got to be honest too. I mean, you look at that card and the centering itself. If the rest of the card was perfect, I can understand it. The centering itself, I've seen, so they say 60-40, right? I've seen Marvel cards that are perfectly centered, or maybe 55-45, and they drop a grade in value. I mean, and sure, maybe they're seeing something in the corner, the edges, the surface I'm not seeing. So maybe it's not the centering. Maybe I'm not, maybe I'm giving that too much weight. But I see a lot of Marvel cards that seem perfectly centered that are dropped down a grade, or not, I'm sorry, not perfectly centered. They're like 55, 45, much better centered than this card. And they drop them down a grade. So I don't understand. Again, I've said it before, grading subjective. Call me stupid if you want to, but grading is a very subjective thing. And the person who graded this card, unless they're on the take, I mean, they were having a really good day.
They had a bad day.
They had a great day. They were having such a great day. They were grading everything tens. Life was just amazing for that person that day.
You get a 10 and you get a 10.
You get a 10. You get a 10.
They were like Oprah out there.
Yeah, sending cards out to the audience. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, it brings up too like a good discussion. I feel like with the ultra modern stuff, the centering is the biggest part of the eye appeal. Like Joe, you display your cards. I'm displaying some of mine over whatever shoulder this is here. And really, when you look at a card that's slabbed, you're going to notice, like, I would argue that a touch of white on a corner, which is always going to bring a card down from a 10, like, unless you get really lucky, that little touch of white, little tick of white on a corner is going to take it down from a 10. I would argue that a card, even being 55, 45 centered, is worse to me than that little tick of white, because it's more noticeable, especially in a slab. If you have it displayed, people come over and look at it, you're going to notice the centering right away. Like you said with the mantle, that mantle PSA 9 was just slightly cockeyed, or was it a 10? It was a 10.
It was a 10.
It was a 10.
Yeah. It was a 10.
And it was just slightly cockeyed, but we saw it and we couldn't unsee it. And you know, looking at the Hogan card, like, there's no way I would feel good about displaying a card that was that off center. Like, give me one with a tiny little bit of white that nobody's going to notice, or on the back, maybe an edge that has some white. Typical stuff that will keep your card from getting a 10. But really, at the end of the day, if you're looking for a nice card, that's really not going to hurt it as much as being off center.
And I would wonder, I mean, this person got extremely lucky. Whoever submitted it got extremely lucky. I would argue, let's say it went in and someone objectively graded it, right? And they gave it an 8. Why are you grading a 1 of 1? I never understood that. Why are you not just sending it in to be authenticated, make sure it's real, have it slabbed, have it sealed, and then sell it as an authentic 1 of 1? Because you could argue, well, it's the only card, so whatever centering it is how it should be centered, because it's a 1 of 1. But, you know, like, people that slab 1 of 1s, people that slab printing plates. I mean, there's a lot of things that people are slabbing to and grading that I just don't understand, where you can just slab it authentic, and it shouldn't. The risk of you getting a lower grade is worse than just selling it as authentic. You know, look at the Logo Man card. That card did not look like a 10. That's why they did not grade it. They sent it in and had it slabbed authentic. I think that would have been the way to do it. Again, this person got extremely lucky.
Yeah, definitely. Very good points. Okay, EP, I'm going to pose this question to you. Aaron Judge obviously hit his 62nd home run this week.
Yes.
And did not break the major league record, just in case people were wondering. That's still 73. But Topps released some pretty pricey Topps Now cards.
That's a nice way to put it.
A pretty nice way to put it. You know, they are what they are, but I'm interested in hearing your thoughts, and yours too, Joe, about this type of thing. When we collected cards, you had to pull a card out of a pack. You maybe bought a factory set. The companies didn't just make cards. So this is a newer thing to the hobby. I know they're very popular, especially when it's a monumental thing like this. But what are your thoughts on the Topps Now, the Panini Instant, that type of stuff?
I was blown away by the prices at first. I mean, like, the 1-on-1 was like $15,000. Like, who's going to go to Topps website and buy one card for $15,000? I'm not sure if it's sold yet or not, but
I don't know.
But I
know
send
it to the guy who graded the Hogan, and you'll get a PSA 10 on it. So you'll be set.
I know that. I think it was the numbered to 50s were $2,000 each, and they sold out within like hours of them being released. So I mean, they are popular. One of the really nice things about these cards is that they you know what the print run is, and they're not going to make more of them. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of like one of the things that why people like them so much. So some of them they're ordered based, they are printed based on number of orders, and again, once they're once they're purchased, they're not going to be any more of them. So unlike some of the a lot of the top stuff, we were thinking, and even Panini, that there's millions of cases out there of some of the millions of rookie cards of some of these players. So you actually know the numbers, which is a cool thing. But I was blown away by the prices on the judges for sure.
Me too.
You know what it reminded me of a little bit? Danbury Mint. Do you remember them where they would have these specialty things that would come out after big events, and it was and we all kind of, us actual collectors, we would all kind of laugh at that kind of stuff, be on QVC, or they'd have it on their site or something like that, and we're like, that's not a real card, that's just something this company pushed out to try and sell a moment. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw these cards. And, I'm sure that they will hold value, and I'm sure they will be a little bit more coveted than, something from the Danbury Mint. But that's the first thing I thought of.
Yeah. I mean, they're fun. They're allows Topps to get out a card that's topical, in the moment. So people are really hyped up about stuff that happens, and they can get the card right away. It is kind of fun. I don't have any problem with them. I know EP, you wouldn't consider it a rookie card because it's not available in packs, but still, I think they're fun. I wouldn't put a lot of money into them myself, but if you're an Aaron Judge or a Yankees fan and you want to celebrate this monumental feat of not breaking the home run record, definitely go in and buy one of those cards, and you can get it in a couple days and have fun with it. So
it is the AL record. One of the things that also, they've been doing this for a number of years, and they do a lot of, like you said, for different things. They'll do a rookie card for somebody, and I feel like if
you bought those, Mike, haven't you? From Panini, didn't they have
Panini Instant? I bought.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So, and I just I do like the program. I think it's really cool. Again, they're XRCs, so you can't pull them out of packs. But yeah, I like the program. It's cool.
I'll just end. EP, is hitting a baseball in the American League different than it is in National League?
No, but I mean
the same.
No.
Different.
No,
different.
It's the same.
Different.
It's
Not
same.
different. Same. Okay. Okay. Just wondered. Okay. Moving on to some news I thought Joe would be really interested in this week. We talked last week about those Marvel Precious Metal Gem set that really fell 90%, 95%. Talked a little bit about the Jordan PSA 10 dropping in price. But Joe, I've got great news for you. The Tom Brady 2000 Contenders Championship ticket autograph, graded in BGS 8.5, only sold for $885,000. Now, the last few, that card's been over $2 million. My question to you is, are you in, or was that you?
Hold on a second. Rob, start the paperwork on the second mortgage. We got to get the home equity loan going, unrelated to this topic. Oh, yeah. It's still $880,000. I'm out on that. I don't think I have enough home equity to pull that.
I thought you might be excited about that, though.
Because it brings everything else down.
I was going to ask you if you're concerned about your.
Really, that's what I really wanted to get to. Again, we're seeing a lot of high-priced cards dropping. So, I was wondering if you were worried about your collection right now.
So I keep track of, just specific to me, I keep track of the Brady's from week to week and just see what the last 3 or 4 sales of each of the rookies that I have of his were. And they've been holding steady. I don't know what this will do to the entire market. I mean, it's such a specific card, the championship ticket. It's people are still going to go out and buy press pass rookies. People are still going to, because they've always been affordable, comparatively speaking. So, I mean, just it's the reverse of the conversation we had a few weeks ago where, does the sale of the mantle raise mantles, right? I don't know. It'll be interesting. Some of the super high end stuff, I'd probably be worried. I mean, we've seen it with other players, not just Brady. I'm just curious. Is it the divorce? Is the divorce causing the dip?
I mean, I think it's more specific to the ultra high end cards. I don't think you're seeing it Michael Jordan cards across the board aren't dropping.
Right.
70%, like the PSA 10 rookie cards. So I think, again, we talk about it's a correction of the market on some of this stuff got way too expensive, right?
But yeah, but it was just a couple weeks ago though we were talking about the $1.8 million Justin Herbert, one-on-one that sold, and a 1.6 million Joe Burrow, I think, something like that, like the same week or whatever. So it'll be interesting to see. Like I'm looking forward to seeing like the next set of like these really really high end auctions to see what happens with some of the modern, ultra modern compared to vintage, and even like the 2000, like the Brady's and that era too. It just to be interesting to see where all these cards kind of, if they all kind of come down or if some of them go up, or it's really an interesting topic.
I think a lot of the newer cards, you're going to see it, pretty much across the board, because you have a limited market for the people that are buying that stuff to begin with. There are people that have a lot of money that are willing to invest money into this market. I honestly think a lot of those people have gotten out. Maybe not a lot, but there's definitely not as many of the people who have jumped into this market. They have a lot of money. They're like, oh, let me buy some of these things. They're really hot. They may have bought in and sold off high, and they're out of it now. They're not buying. So I think your market is a lot smaller, and that's what's leading to the prices dropping so drastically so quickly on that super high end stuff. But
I mean, you see a lot of the cards in that $200 to $500 range, to maybe even $1,000, that keep moving pretty quickly and at around the value that they have been at. Once you get to a certain level, it's expensive. I mean, you can't fault anyone for going into a card show and looking at a card for $3,000 and saying, well, that's not for me. I mean, this stuff is not cheap. So that's what we talked about at the National a little bit was, you saw a lot of people there, but it's not like you were seeing a ton of money changing hands. You weren't seeing like people with just like, other than Jeff Wilson out there, throwing down $100 bills to get a, $10,000 card. I bought a $500 card. That was my, I'm like, I'm good. I think that range, that $200 to $500 to $800 range, I think is still viable. I think a lot of people are still buying cards in that range. Once you get to the thousands of dollars, I think a lot of the people are tapping out. I think they're good with what they have, and they're willing to wait until the market corrects more, or depending on your perspective, if the bubble bursts.
Yeah. I feel like I listen to a lot of hobby podcasts, and I think it was Mojo Break was talking about these prices of some of these cards, like the 1.8 million, 1.6 million dollar, like these one-on-ones, like in order for these quarterbacks to achieve like Tom Brady status, like, and have those cards be worth that in like 10 years. They would have to, even in 10 years, they're not going to be worth that much, right? Like, it's like, it really seems wild to me. It seems like there's a lot of those really high-end cards have to correct themselves, just because it's unrealistic for them to stay that high.
They're baking in for Justin Herbert 5 Super Bowls,
right?
Yeah.
Like his cards are. If he makes a Super Bowl, how much more can his cards really go up? I mean, they're baking that into his cards. They're baking into Burrow's. Hell, they're kind of baking into Tua's.
If they go to a Super Bowl, though, they will jump, but then they'll come back down.
And then they'll come back
that's
down.
really the difference in the market now. It's not like a climb, like you add accomplishments to your career and your cards go up over time. It's instantaneous now. It's you do something here, your card shoots up. You do something bad, your card shoots back down. You go to a Super Bowl, you go way up, but even if you win it, it's going to drop back down before next season. So really, a lot of the investors are living in the moment with these cards, and it's nothing like it used to be. So like, I don't even know if it's about Justin Herbert having to win 5 Super Bowls. It's more like he just has to get to one, because everybody who has those cards are going to use that opportunity to get rid of those cards at a profit. So it's really more, it is like a stock. It's more, you're just waiting for the right time to sell that card. It really has nothing to do with what they do in their career anymore. It's really different than collecting. It's investing. It's like any other investment. You're putting money into something and waiting for that moment where it becomes more valuable so you can sell it at a profit. So
you guys know I'm a huge Russell Wilson fan, but you look at him as an example of somebody who, you know, he's still probably Hall of Fame career probably, but he went from being one of the most desired quarterbacks card wise in the NFL to now, like, I don't feel like his popularity has dropped quite a bit because he's been pretty terrible this year.
By the dippy
So, yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing though. Like now his cards will never probably. I mean, he will definitely never achieve Tom Brady status, so his cards are going to stay low. So what happens when, you know, as these quarterbacks get older and they end up being, you know, a Russell Wilson, like somebody's going to get stuck with that $1.8 million, $1.6 million card, and it's not
someone's
going to
get stuck holding the bag for sure.
Right.
And I look at the cards like that. I'm like, how much? I'll buy the Brady for 880 and then pocket the 400,000. The difference between the Herbert and the last Brady ticket for sure. I mean, easy decision.
Well, I did see here, talking about buying cards on eBay in the last 12 months, the top 4 card sellers on eBay have sold us a total of 2.6 million cards between the 4 of them. I thought it might be fun to see if you guys might be able to name the 4 top sellers of cards on eBay.
Mike 2731.
I think he was actually 5th.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, just missed the cut on that one. But any guesses?
I'm going to say Probstein.
Probstein is number 3. They sold 566,000 cards in the last.
And the other
months.
reason I was looking at one of their cards, I was looking at one of their cards on my watch list, and I realized they had over 1 million feedback. It blew my mind. It absolutely blew my mind. Other than that, boy, I don't know.
Is it number 1?
Is 1 million Cubs one of them?
That was one of my guesses.
Nope.
No, really? Okay.
No, he's not.
All
of them are consignment
Consigners.
sellers.
Okay.
One of them is consignment seller, but also a longtime big dealer. No guess.
Baseball collector, investor.
Yeah.
Dealer?
No.
At number 4, Burbank Sports Cards.
Okay.
They have 426,000.
Mm-hmm.
The number 3 position was Probstein. Number 2 is that Greg Morris Cards, the GM cards that you see. They're a big consigner too. 785,000 cards sold in the last 12 months. And number 1, you're going to kick yourselves. ComC.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
So easy.
Makes a little more sense now.
Yeah.
They sold 847,000 cards on eBay in the last 12 months. So
That's
imagine,
crazy.
adding up how many they sell on their own site and then almost 1 million cards on eBay too. That's crazy. So people are still buying cards. At least that goes to show that. Maybe not the people that are spending the millions of dollars on cards, but the rest of us that aren't afraid to spend like $2 on a card, we are all in. So
well, and then you add up me and EP stack sale. I mean, we're towards the top now too.
All right. So, I like to buy retail product. And this week,
wait, what?
I came across this. The Skybox Metal Champions. Let me tell you, boy, did I have fun opening this stuff up. First of all, Skybox, not even Fleer. Skybox. How cool is it? Like, look at these cards.
Oh, it's pretty rad.
Yeah. They look like something that you would be buying back in the 90s. Like, they're fantastic. And like, I just had such a fun time ripping open these cards. So I thought we could take a little trip down memory lane because we all came from the era where Fleer metal was a thing. I remember it sitting on my shelf forever. I think I opened up the box of the first year was 96, 95.
Yeah, I think it was 96. Yeah.
And like nobody bought it. It was a reasonably priced set too. I want to say it was maybe around $2 a pack back then. But that's one of the few products I specifically, like, I can even remember where it was on my shelf and like it's sitting there and never selling and never selling and never selling that I ended up opening it. So, but yeah, boy, they ended up being popular years later.
I got to say that I was definitely buying some of them from you because out of all my collections, like I have a lot of Fleer Ultra, but I have so much metal 96, 97. Like I did buy quite a bit of that, and I love that metal like that.
And I remember buying the X-Men metal. I remember buying quite a bit of that when it was out too.
Yeah, good stuff. Like just to see now, like this set again too, like they have the jambalaya inserts in them, which are really cool. I didn't get any of them, but like how cool would it be to pull that? Like they use some of the old stuff in it. I just thought it was a blast to open. I just picked it up, but I was opening the packs and like that feeling, just looking at the metal design, I'm like, this is so much fun. I don't know who half these people are that I'm pulling out of the cards from different sports and stuff, but boy, it was so much fun. Yeah.
It's a take on the Goodwin Champions, right? Like the name,
the
Metal Champions. Yeah, that's very, very cool. I know you I like that set, and I know you like that set too. So that's why I kind of.
And Skybox is right there. Look at that! Look at that logo. Yep. How cool is that?
Like, Metal has one of the best logos for sure.
Makes me happy. Those cards were my jam back in like 1997, 98, 99. So many Skybox cards.
Great stuff. Well, all right, guys. Now. No, well, yeah, it is pretty expensive. Those were pretty cheap.
Get a box of metal,
but the hobby boxes of those, I think, were like close to $300 a box. So
how many you get?
I didn't get any, Joe. Unfortunately. I bought 3 of the blasters though, so I only opened one. I don't know. Maybe I'll open the others on the channel. Maybe not.
He will.
I like to just sit in the corner and open them by myself with nobody watching. So that's
as you pull that jambalaya. As you pull that jambalaya.
All right, guys. Good chat this week, and we'll be back next week. Take care, guys.
Adios, see you, boys.